We're in. Stolen Valor Part 2. Trilly rocking the fatigue, the Philly fatigue. Camo through. What's going on, ladies and gents? This is another episode of Cold Ones Conversations. A week from last week. We're back. We're in. We keep it rolling. We got subscribers, but we want more and more. This is the $100 million deal. This is Cold Ones Conversations. I go by many names. Hollywood Hair to be one. Another one is Harry Heaps. And I'm joined by my co-host, Brendan PETRILLI, the bod. Trilly, how you doing today?
Doing well. I'm doing well. I hope everybody out there is being all right. Yeah, it's funny out there. It looks like a little bit like the apocalypse. Who knows what's going on? The Miami Heat are hanging in there. Chris Paul's getting cut. Who knows? Live Golf and the Saudis are taking over. It might be the apocalypse. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in the sports world right now.
Dude, it's crazy. Dude, I mean, Miami's got, for the first time, usually they have problems breathing because they're sniffing so much stuff up their noses. But dude, I mean, they don't have air quality. They don't got air quality problems. You're talking about going to a Phillies game, dude. You got 353. Obviously, we're praying for everybody's safety in Canada, for everybody who's involved in the fires and everyone else. I hope that everybody's homes are okay. Cold Ones Conversations in full support. But I mean, the air quality, dude, let's get some fans running. You know what I mean? Like, I don't get why we can't get a big fan going. Where are the windmills when you need them?
That's what I'm saying. Got these big ass fucking windmills everywhere.
Where are the windmills?
Come on, a little hot, like a little extra going.
A turbo.
Here, yeah. Come on.
What's up with all the Nat Geo things? They're going like 3 miles an hour. Like, let's crank that thing up to 5, dog. Put that thing on like a Dyson. You know what I mean? Let that thing run. All right.
Nah, that might just stoke the flames even more now that we think about it. But just fast enough that it puts it out.
No, not if we're pushing it outward.
If
if we're not near the flame, but we have the smoke passing through, it's going right out to sea, All right. Let's start with the first topic of the day, dude. It's a sad day. I got to take a moment. I know I'm wearing the Masters hat. We're going to get to that in a moment. It was a reveal. I had it backwards. Now it's forward. It's a sad day to be a Sun. The same day that we're posting about our new coach, we're letting go a legend. We're letting go a hero, CP3, the one, the only. He's a top 5 player of mine. Chris Paul is the reason why this team can always now be a championship contender. And now he's no longer going to be a Sun, and it sucks. I always loved Chris. I thought he was so cool when he was on the Nuggets. And then when he went to LA, and I always thought it would be cool to see him and LeBron play together. Okay. And then, damn, huh?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, damn, he's going to be a Sun. This is incredible. We're going to win a chip. We go to a chip. We don't get the chip. I still eat the dip. It happened. He's regressed. He's not the same guy. He's getting old. It's sad. It sucks. I understand why the Suns are doing what they're doing. We all knew this was coming. It's sad that it had to be today. I love you, CP3. But at the end of the day, man, nobody can take away what this guy did for this team. The leadership that he brought, the education that he brought to a guy like Devin Booker. He's developed Devin Booker into a top 5 player. Like, I would argue that Booker might be overshadowed if he still today in this league, even with his talent, if he doesn't have the grit and determination that Chris Paul brought to that team, that floor general, a guy who understands what it means to play real season basketball, to want to compete, a guy who didn't have that playoff pedigree, but had the mental pedigree of understanding the league, that he could bring it to such a young group, like guys like Ayton, right? And guys like Devin, and then every person that's been through the revolving door, it seems like, of the Suns. Either way, man, I'm sad. I hate it. Fucking sucks. I wish he could have retired a Phoenix Sun. I can't wait for the jersey to go on sale because I'm going to buy it. And that's it, man. I salute the flag. My hat's off.
What jersey are you waiting to buy?
Oh, him.
For what team?
For the Suns. I'll still wear it. I don't care whether he's
already
Sun or
on
not.
sale. You could have gotten it by now.
Is it already on sale? I haven't checked. I've been going through so much pain, I couldn't check.
He's been on the team for 3 years.
Oh, of course it's been on sale for 3 years, but I'm not. You think I'm paying that $150 for that Nike jacket?
Okay, all right, I see.
I think I'm paying the $150
for the clearance rack. You think he's a clearance rack guy?
He's a clearance.
That jersey goes to the clearance rack.
Anybody?
That's how much respect you have for the guy.
Hey, anybody, dude. Anybody who's getting sauced and tossed, dude, already on Nike, it's dropped from 120 to 87. Click, that's getting bought. That is getting bought. And that's with the official check. They got Devin Booker still for 120, but they don't got CP3 for 120. That's for damn well sure.
I don't know.
Hey,
I was gonna say, yeah, good monologue there. Good goodbye to to CP3. But then I don't know. A lot of these guys, if they're that big of a deal, they're not going on sale that fast.
he is.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how much they really respect him there in Phoenix.
Hey,
If
they
that's the
might not
case,
respect him. I don't see
Nike
him
and
having his own
Fanatics
shield
and all that,
deal.
Ruben's
Yep.
like, all right, we gotta push. All right,
Yep.
maybe. All right, but no, I agree with you that just to push back a little bit, but no, I agree. I wanted to be a little bit more like what are you talking about? He was only there for 3 years, but then you ran some good points. Like Chris Paul is the reason they were able to get a guy like a Kevin Durant. He's the
Correct.
reason Devin Booker has become into a top, I don't know, 10, 15 player in the league where he can go and dominate. What is he not?
He's a top 5.
Oh, top 5? Devin
You don't
Booker is
think that
not
he's a
top
top 5
5.
right now?
He is not top 5.
Okay, I'm going to give you my top 5 real quick, and then you give me yours. Here's my top 5 right now. Right now, regardless of bias, this is a you and me conversation. We have to be honest here. Tatum's 1.
What are we talking? Talent?
We're talking talent in the league right now that any
Or
team
like
would want.
like position where they're at to win?
Any team would want these 5 guys. Any team.
Yeah.
Tatum's 1.
Mm-hmm.
Jokic is 2. Luka is 3. Devin is 4. Curry is 5. 6 is Embiid. Embiid's there, but that's the top 5.
I would put Kevin Durant over him still.
Over who?
Over Booker. I think more teams would want Kevin Durant.
I agree, but one guy's been healthier longer recently. That's the only thing I'll say, which is Devin.
One guy's won an MVP and a couple finals MVPs.
Oh, he also had Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, and
he's the one winning the MVP
Draymond
though.
Green. I'll make that argument. Both guys are on my team. I get it, but Devin Booker's been playing more than KD has last 3 years, so that's why he's in my top. Would you say he's top? Would you say he's top 6?
I'd still stick with the top 10, 7.
Okay. All right. You're disrespectful. Continue with your point. I don't want to take it away.
No, now that I think about it, it is closer than I originally thought. But yeah, I don't know. I just have never really bought into the D book. He did have a really good run, but then he came up very short at the end there. Very, very short. And just like a lot of guys have, and they got to finally get over that hump. But no, I agree with you. Back to the Chris Paul thing here, where hopefully that doesn't kind of rub off on a Devin Booker, where that guy has come up short a lot in his career. Where he's putting up all the numbers, and then all of a sudden when it means something, hopefully he doesn't learn that from Chris Paul, taking shots on him on the way out too a little bit. But no, he did definitely solidify that Phoenix team into getting to a finals appearance, into being a top seed in the West for the next couple of years now. And no, I agree with you. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. A lot of people are in Philadelphia are thinking maybe he comes to the Sixers if James Harden leaves, and I'm kind of out on that. To be honest, you're just getting rid of damaged goods for another damaged goods, and at least Harden got 40 twice in a couple playoff games this past season. What did Chris Paul do? Like, so I'm kind of no thank you. Like, I think he's a solid, 4 option at this point in his career where he can just pass you the ball.
Agreed.
Facilitate, but he's not that guy that's going to be going out and scoring where he
Not
really hasn't been that in his the last couple of years anyway, averaging 16. 14 and 13 past 3 years.
His last year where he was that was the year that they went to the finals. Let's be honest. That was CP3's like culmination. I did say it, like if CP was going to get one, it was going to be that year. That team was so damn good that went against Giannis. They had a lot of talent. He understood how to manage that team very well. But listen, dude, time catches up to everybody. Not everybody can be LeBron. Giannis isn't going to be LeBron. So yeah, dude. No, but he did so much in 3 years. He changed an entire culture of that team being young, misfit. I mean, think about it, bro. That team went from being absolutely nobodies to somewhat catching a little bit of a flame people kind of watching them when they went to the bubble and going on a 15 game run, winning all 15 of them, still not making the cut, obviously, for the playoffs, dropping out next year. Who's there? CP3. What changes? They become a playoff contender. That dude single-handedly changed the culture of that team. But the team has to do what is right, which is that we're moving off. Now, you got to move off of a guy when he can't hang anymore. Now, the question is, to you as a non-fan, when is Ayton getting traded? How soon is that after this? Because I'm telling you, I think it's going to be within July.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's going to be a quick trigger on that, just because it's that breakup's been going on for more than just the playoff stretch, from what it seems like. It strung into last offseason, where they didn't really want to give him that deal, and then somebody gave it to him, then they matched all of a sudden just because they ran out of options, and he was just kind of that, okay, plan B. We got to keep you anyway because he was a restricted free agent. So now, what's the value for a DeAndre Ayton at this point? Because big man really, other than like a Jokic and an Embiid, I mean, Rudy Gobert got a king's ransom last offseason. But what did that do? Nothing. Big men nowadays, I don't know if you could really get that much. Even if Joel Embiid was up on the market, I don't know how much you would really get. Now he's the defending MVP, so I would like to think you can get a lot, but DeAndre Ayton is nowhere close to that, right? So what you can get in return, I could see maybe recouping some of that bench, that what you sent to Brooklyn in that Kevin Durant trade.
Yes.
And that might be exactly what Phoenix needs at this point, to be able to recoup that. So KD and D-Book don't have to do it all for 48 minutes a game a night.
Correct. Dude, that's the argument that's the point that we were making right last week, which was if you could keep two guys, right? I said that I'm keeping Kevin Durant and D-Book, and I'm just building around those two. And you said that we're keeping Embiid and Maxey, right? That's the position that the Suns are in now. You traded away, as you just noted in that KD trade, you traded away all your facilitators, right? And what's crazy right now is, now this is not the norm by any means. I'm not saying that, but right now, outside of really Jokic, and I don't even know if I can fully put him in this class, both of the teams right now that are in the NBA Finals only have role players. 95% of their team are role-playing guys. Like, Jimmy on any other Eastern Conference team is not the number one option. He would be a role player. He'd be a 2 or a 3. If Jimmy was on the Suns, he would be the third option. If Jimmy was in Boston, he would be the third option. He would probably be the 2 in Philly. He definitely wouldn't be the 1.
He'd
right?
Fight Embiid for the 1, though.
You think?
Just the way that he's been able to do it the past couple of years in the playoffs, and Embiid hasn't, he would definitely fight for the 1.
Sure, he'd fight for it, but you and I both know Embiid would still come out as that number 1 option for that team. So where I'm going with this is, you look at, right, who's the team that won the championship before this? Obviously Golden State. But when you look at Golden State, dude, yes, they obviously have Curry. Curry's that number 1 option, and Clay at that time was the 2. But all the rest of their guys, dude, none of those guys were superstar insane talents. They were all role players. So they had 2 main insane players that they built a ton around, a lot of youth that went on and won a championship. And what I think we're now seeing is, you can't build juggernaut teams with 3 superstars and win a title. You got to have 2 guys and a bunch of role players. Because if that was the case, I was having this conversation earlier with my trainer, who we talk about on this show. He sucked, by the way, today. He was horrible.
You get your money back for it, or what?
I think I have to. I think I got to bring that up. I tell him all the time, I'm like, listen, we got to do something about this pricing. The point is, right? We kind of came to the conclusion that, dude, if you could just add superstars to get to the playoffs, why did Luka get bounced so quickly? Luka's a top 5 talent right now in this league alone, whether he got Kyrie or not. Why did they get bounced so quickly? You add another guy. It's because if you're going to have 2 guys, you need strategic other players that can work around them so well, right? If it was the case, you only needed superstars, why hasn't that famous quote from not from AJ Brown, who's 7 for, who's the number 2 guy on Boston?
What, Jalen Brown?
Jalen Brown, excuse me. that Jalen Brown is saying we're going to win 5 championships. Yeah, if it was only based on superstar talent, you probably would be, but you're not. LeBron tried to do that with Carmelo and with having Russell, right? Nothing happened. You got to have guys that can let LeBron sit off and maintain that 15-point lead and still give you 7 more, right? You got to have guys for KD and Booker that it's not KD, Booker, CP3, Ayton, right? And that's the team. Those guys have got to sit. So what I think we're going to start to see now over the next few years is I think that teams are only going to go for 2 superstars, man. And they've got to have facilitators. Because you look at a team like Philly, right? And Philly has gone through kind of a revolving door of trying to have 2 guys and then develop a third superstar, right? When you had Jimmy and Simmons, Ben, who was supposed to be that third developing, right? And Embiid, and it never worked out. Now, there's many other reasons why, but right, then you go to having Harden and Tyrese Maxey, right? Doesn't happen, right? Same thing with LA. LA had, when they won their championship, they only had 2 superstars. And who were they? LeBron and AD.
LeBron.
And then they just built surrounding players, like bringing a guy like J.R. Smith in, and they go on and win. When the Cavaliers won, they had 2 superstars with a third up and coming, but not a full on. He was just a guy who could maintain a lead in K Love, right? So I think we're really going to see that now. And I hope that the Suns can make that move and not look to get a third superstar and overpay, trade away more of what we don't have, and end up in the same spot.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing with that, right, is you're right. It probably is just 2 superstars, but the way that the league has gone with the supermax deals for guys that probably shouldn't be getting supermax deals, where instead of giving it to 2 guys, a third guy on that team is probably going to be getting paid a crap ton of money also. Maybe even a fourth that probably shouldn't be getting that money, instead of facilitating it around to 4 or 5 really solid players. I think that's where it's going to be interesting to see where teams kind of maneuver the cap space wise, where you're not giving Tobias Harris $150 million. You're not giving, I don't know, an Aaron Gordon 150 plus, even though he's been proving it in these playoffs. Just like caliber players like that who aren't that 1 or 2, that third role guy, that he's not going to be making $200+ million moving forward and really strapping the cap space for the team to be able to. That's what you've seen with the Sixers. You haven't been able to get those high caliber guys, the buyout guys, because the cap space is just so loaded on those top 3 spots. And you see it with Boston now. Who knows what's going to happen with them, because they're going to have to give it to both Tatum and Brown. Now, are they going to give it to Brown to be able to move it around, to be able to keep Brogdon, to be able to keep Richards, and Horford's got a big deal up there too, so he's getting older. That might be the biggest thing, where we've came from that big 3 mold. Now I do agree with you, and we've talked about it, that it's going to be moving back to just the 2 guys and facilitators, but the money is going to dictate it. Now it's going to be interesting where the pressure is going to be on those third players, but then people are then you're gonna have the other side of the argument. Well, the teams give it to him, blah blah blah. Well, yeah, they gave it to him, right? And I give you all the credit in the world to get the money, but you have to perform to it. Then, just because the team was willing to give it to you means you have to perform if you're getting it, and you should be able to be scrutinized to not living up to that money. I don't care that the team gave it to you. Good for you. Now it's time to perform up to that money. So, I don't know. It's interesting.
I think that what it also comes down to, right, is like, what are the teams that we really think are forward thinking enough to kind of get what we're saying right now? I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I'm not trying to take a shot. I don't know if Philly is a team that will do that, because Philly's process has been get 2 guys.
Nah. They're already trying to make moves off of it at this point right now. Like, at least trying to get rid of Tobias, because the Daryl Morey inherited all this. He inherited Tobias. He inherited Horford. Jimmy was already gone. Ben was here. He had to make it work. He turned Ben Simmons into James Harden for 2 years. That was awesome. It sucked at the lowest of lows, but he also gave you high of highs, where Ben Simmons hasn't played in 2 years, right? You got rid of Al Horford's contract. You got to make Tobias's work. He's been able to develop. Now this is going to be the offseason where he's going to have to go and make something happen with that. You were able to get a PJ Tucker. I feel like they're trending in the right direction, and they've realized that they have to build around Maxey and Embiid at this point. Now, if they go and give Harden a 4-year max deal, then that's when it's going to be like, well, all right, what are we doing here?
So who's a guy? Let's go with the Philly concept, because then I want to tell you where I think that Ayton's going, and maybe we can close out the Suns talk. But let me ask you, if they weren't to give Harden the contract, what player do you think is available that they genuinely, thinking in a smart way, would go out and try to retain and get?
I mean,
who do you think it would be?
I would like Kelly Oubre, because they need wings.
Did Kelly play for you guys for a little while, actually?
No.
He started in DC, came to the Suns, went to Golden State, and then where is he now? Is he with the Timberwolves?
Brooklyn, maybe?
Is he in Brooklyn?
I don't know.
I loved Kelly, dude. I loved him as a son. He was great, and he was really good with the Wizards, too.
He's a solid player, a good wing player.
Yeah.
Can give you 10 plus. I think their biggest thing is just letting guys like Jalen McDaniels grow, who they got at the trade deadline. You're going to have to sign him, though. And letting guys like Jared Springer, who they had in the G League or D League or whatever, he scored 30 a game for a championship for the Blue Coats. Like, you got to kind of let these guys play, and that was one of the reasons why Doc Rivers was let go, was because he wasn't letting those young guys. And also, you were in win now, but now it's going to be, we got to get a little younger. We got to get more wing power to go around Embiid. But they're going to need a point guard. Like, they need somebody to get Joel Embiid the ball in his hands the way that they run the offense now. But you also need the shooters around it. I would love a Seth Curry to come back to the Sixers. You traded him with Ben Simmons to Brooklyn. But I don't know.
Let me ask you a wild question, dude. Does Philly go out? He wouldn't be your point, but how good are the Sixers if you go out and you get Klay Thompson?
Yeah, he's kind of, his legs are a little gone at this point.
But what if he only has to be spot up? What if you now actually create a mode where you have a single shooter that just has to shoot? Embiid can take the shots that he wants, to have his timing, let him take the looks that he wants, let him be the powerhouse that he is down in the paint, let him do his thing, have his mid-range game, and you bring in a guy like Seth Curry to now be the starting point guard for Philly. He never was. He was always a facilitator. He always has been in his time. You and I have always liked him. When we used to do radio, we would talk about Seth all the time. I would love that setup, dude. You had Seth Curry running the point for you guys, and then you had a spot-up shooter like Klay, and you just let Embiid be Embiid. And neither one of those guys are taking the limelight in the sense of everybody still knows who's the number one option. It's the reigning MVP, right? Yeah. So I like that setup for you guys.
In that setup, I would say you go Curry and Thompson shooters, and then Maxey develops. You tell him, hey, we need you to get better at passing. We need you to get better.
You let Maxey run the point,
and you let Maxey facilitate and handle the ball.
That'd be cool too.
You let him drive the lane, pick and rolls with Embiid, and kick it to Seth. And kick it to Klay. Then we talk, and then you just have the four be either what's his face,
Al Horford,
PJ, who's just a dog and gets you rebounds, or somebody long and lanky like McDaniels or Oubre or somebody like that. Yeah, it would be good. Let me run the Sixers. Let me and you run the Sixers. I don't know, but
if you and I were running the Sixers, number one, the merch would be crazy. That's number one. Number two, we would abuse the jet. Let's be strictly honest here. The first thing that you and I would do is, can we see the jet? Like that. That's
we would plant 10 trees every time we used it. We swear.
And on top of that, we would say that, like, when they would be running the lights all night long, we would say that we're checking up on the practice facility. In reality, we're bringing everyone from Susquehanna up. Now, do they need to know that? No, but that's what we would be doing. All right. I love that segment. A lot of hard talk. I want to end it with what I want to tell you, and I want to see what you think, because I'm going to tell you where I think that Ayton is going. I think that the team that's going to make a trade for Ayton, I think that it might be a straight up trade. Maybe the Suns are going to look to get more than one player, but if it's straight up, I think it's going to be Jordan Poole for Ayton. And Ayton's going to be going to Golden State. Why that works for both teams is because, number one, Golden State really does not have to worry about shooting going forward, whether they lose Klay Thompson or not. They still have Steph Curry, who's still the greatest shooter of all time and still has years worth of prime to put up. They've developed very nicely young players who keep coming up, who have won a championship in state, and other guys that they keep bringing in that are doing better and better. But what they truly do not have is a rim protector, and a guy that Curry can dish it to eat up that paint inside. And that is something that the West right now in Denver has locked up. If you don't have a guy that can at least challenge Jokic, you are truly decimated in that way in the West. There's no question about it. Ayton can be that guy. I'm not saying that he's a guy who's going to be as good as Embiid or as good as Jokic, but I am saying that he can give him fits. Why I think that Jordan Poole works so well for the Suns is, number one, I believe more than I believe that Ayton's leaving. I don't think that Jordan Poole is going to be a Golden State Warrior next year. Something with the Draymond Green and Jordan Poole's whole demeanor around that team, like, he doesn't get, and I hate saying this because he's coming to my team, but like, Jordan Poole does not get the caliber of talent that he's around. Like, he's around guys that are better than Magic Johnson. He doesn't, dude. He doesn't.
But then why would you want to bring him to Kevin Durant and Devin Booker?
Because I'm not saying that I want him. I'm saying that I think it's the trade that the Suns will make. I'm not saying that I want him. I'm saying that I think it's what the Suns are going to identify. We've got to trade Ayton. Who can we get for as good of talent? Let's bring in a kid like Poole who can give Booker time off and give Durant time off. So really, we can just let Booker and this kid work. That's what I think it would be. But when you look at sideline videos of these guys, right? Like, one of the ones that stood out to me the most. Can you hear that, by the way? Can you hear that in the mic? The at the top of the steps. I want to throw that cat. We don't throw cats.
We're a cat-friendly podcast.
We're a cat-friendly podcast. I would love cat moms to just blow up this feed, give us millions, get our subscribers up. But let me stay on topic. The reason why that would be so good is because Jordan does have such longevity in his legs and in his talent that he could let Durant sit for long periods of time. He can let Durant take nights off. But Golden State is in desperate need of this rim protector, of a guy that can eat down low, right? Be a talent. Be a guy that lets Draymond sit. Draymond doesn't have to run the 5. Draymond can go back to running the 4 when he actually plays, right? And I also think the main reason why Jordan's leaving is because at the end of the day, they're going to give the nod to the guy who's been with those elite 3 since day one, which is Draymond, right? The elite 3 has always been for Golden State. Who? Curry, Klay, Draymond, right? Mm-hmm. But the thing that I will add is that Klay is falling off much faster than Draymond is. And I never thought that I'd say that, but he is. Hold on. I gotta handle this. We're going off camera here. All right, we're back. I went up to open the door for him, and he ran past me back down here. And now he's around here. Like, if he starts going on, I'm just going to let him outside. Just to end it with, dude, Klay's falling off much quicker than Draymond is. They need a rim protector. We need another guy with long legs who has the endurance to go for 82 games and can play in the playoffs, has the experience of playing with high-caliber players, can give KD nights off. That's just a straight-up trade that I definitely could see happening. Who really wins in that trade? Probably the Suns, because they're not eating a massive contract the way that Golden State is. But Golden State can afford it, especially if they don't give a max to Klay.
Yeah. How about you go Ayton and you go draft picks for Jalen Brown. And Boston gets a defender and a big man to run with. Tatum, you get rid of Horford, and you have Williams and Ayton, and the Suns get Brown. Money works out for the most part,
right?
But I just don't know if Boston goes for that. But
that's my question to you.
It just might be the case where he just wants out, and they might just have to eat it and get as much value as that they're willing to get, because I mean, that's as good as a package as they're going to get, I would think, right?
That's an even better trade.
if he forces his way out.
What
I
do you
mean,
think's more likely? Boston wanting to move off or him wanting to leave?
I think both of them have came to a point where he's all up in the Kyrie Irving thought of thinking, I think, of way. Yeah, that's what it seems like. And it seems like, he's out on Boston as a city, just mentally wise, and the frustrations of getting to the conference finals so many times over the past couple of years that I think Boston as a team is willing to make a move where you just keep Tatum, you move on from Brown, and you try to keep reloading around Tatum. And I think that would be an upgrade for sure from the center position wise for the Celtics. But you fill in a Brogdon and a Smart instead of them coming off the bench or rotating off the bench,
right?
Where they have the flexibility and the depth to be able to do that. And a Derek White, so
that's a really good trade, man. I love that.
The value definitely in the name power is it's just not there, but it might be a desperate case where Boston's kind of just like everybody knows he wants out.
Yeah.
And he's like, he's not going to play here. Now that would be, and Ayton doesn't want to play in Phoenix. So that just might be a worst case, best case scenario for both teams where you get another scorer, ball handler type with that team that can give those guys nights off. Now, I just don't know if he really fits in. Devin Booker would have to probably run the point guard position at that point.
100%.
Or KD moves to the 4, but I don't know if he could really do that right now.
No, KD, and there's nothing that will happen in this league that is going to force Kevin Durant to go to the 4 ever.
Yeah.
KD's a 3. He's a 3 alone. That's where his body's at in his career. He's still a top 5 talent. It could still be a top 3 talent. Let's be honest. Let's be strictly honest. The guy could still be the top player in the league, but he's got to have the best surroundings now to get him there because he doesn't have the cushion of Golden State, and he's never going to have that again. So this is kind of my last question that I have to you. 3 players in order and the first one, 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is the one who's most likely to go. Jordan Poole to leave his team, Ayton to leave his, and Brown to leave his. In what order do you think which guy is the first to get moved?
Ayton, Brown, Poole. Ayton the most likely.
That's what I think too. I think it's Ayton, Poole, Brown personally, because I could see Boston wanting to run it again with those guys, but
I don't think it's up to Boston. It's up to him. It's up to Brown. And just reading his body language and press conferences over the last couple months, even the last year, really, where he's like getting offended. He's just not an East Coast guy.
No, not at all. Not at all.
He can't handle booze. He can't handle you suck tonight. You what East Coast cities will do to you. Expect more.
Yeah, exactly.
He's just not used to that. He's a Cali guy, played out there in college. Like he's just not used to that love, and he feels like he deserves to be respected every single night. Where hey, sometimes, bro, you do suck, and you got to face the facts there, and he doesn't realize that. So I don't know.
He sucks. At the end of the day, he sucks.
That's something to keep an eye out on, though. I do think that situation. It could make for some interesting movement. I was trying to think of other teams while you were talking, like the Cavs. They don't need a big man. They got 2 guys. I mean, Pacers. I mean, he tried to sign there, but I just don't know what they'd be able to really offer in return.
Why would you want to go to the Pacers?
What?
That's to just be like PG?
He signed his deal there, though, right? And then they blocked him last offseason, right?
I don't know. I don't remember what you're talking about, actually.
Yeah. Well, because last offseason, here you go. A 4-year, $133 million offer sheet was signed by the Indiana Pacers that the Phoenix Suns matched last offseason. So he was going to go to the Pacers.
That's right. You're right. He was going to go to the Pacers, but then we matched it. And then, yes.
But they weren't going to at first because they were trying to make other moves.
Correct.
And we couldn't. Fell through.
Correct.
And then they were like, screw it, we'll just sign him
We'll
and figure it
re-sign
out
him.
after. And that's what made the big contingency. Then he really wasn't playing with the Suns that much anymore. And he's just like, well, why the hell did you bring me back? Why didn't you just let me go?
Yes.
But I just don't know what a trade would loom there with the Pacers.
Well, the Pacers have nothing to offer that I want. I'll just be honest.
Yeah.
They don't. And the thing about the Suns is they are going to, like, the Suns are going to get some value out of Ayton. They will. Like, the one thing that I would argue is out of all three of those teams, no matter what you think the talent is, out of Brown, out of Poole, out of Ayton, Ayton will be the one. And I don't care. Maybe people say that Poole's more talented. People might say that Brown's more talented. Ayton will be the one that draws the highest bid. There's no question.
Over Brown?
Absolutely.
No
Yes.
way. You're smoking.
Yes.
No.
No, 100% he will. Because I think that it's less likely that Boston is going to move off of him. Even if he doesn't want to be there, they want those two together. They do. And so if teams know that, and they know that it's going to be hard for Boston to let that go, whereas the Suns are going to make a move. Go ahead.
If they know that they're going to have to offer more for him for them to be like, okay, yeah, then we'll do the deal. For Boston to do the deal, you have to entice them more.
See,
where
like
the Suns, the Suns don't want him. The Sun and he doesn't want to be in Phoenix anymore. So why would you offer that highest dollar?
Last thing, who wins? Okay, who wins the trade between the last things that we said with the last 90 seconds? If Ayton goes to Golden State and Poole to Suns, who wins that trade? I think it's Golden State.
I think it's Golden State too.
Okay, if it's Ayton for Brown, who wins that trade?
I think it's
the
a
Suns
win for both teams.
Okay.
I think the fit would be better for Boston, but the talent level is better for the Suns.
Correct. Great way.
All right. For the reason everybody might be a little upset, why haven't we talked about the finals? Why haven't we talked? We've been recording during the game, and now the game is over. So stay tuned. We'll let you know what happened.
Can you take me higher? That was Creed for everybody. Higher. Greatest band of all time. All right, dude. We're back in. Thank you for everybody. We are so happy to have you for the second half of our show. We got to talk a great amount of NBA there. Got to talk futures, our teams, trading. But now we got to talk a little NBA finals. So, dude, right now, we've been recording while the finals been going on. It's 2-1 now, Denver. Denver took one in Denver, and Miami took one in Denver. Denver just drew first blood in Miami now. So it's 2-1 them. We got another game coming up in Miami. I'll tell you what, though, dude, they kept it close. They won the last game narrowly. Miami's the real deal right now, dude. This series is going 7 games. Either way you cut it. No matter who wins, this series going 7 games.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm still stuck on 6 right now.
I know you are. But let me make my argument.
I think Miami goes and wins game 4. And then it goes 7 if Miami wins game 5. They have to win game 5. That's going to be a huge game.
Yeah, if they can go up.
For it to go 7.
Go up, yeah. If Miami can go up in the series, like, that'll change it all.
Yeah.
That'll totally. But I mean, dude, that was Denver's first loss at home during the playoffs.
It was their first loss in like a month, like a calendar month.
Literally in a calendar month.
Because they won the last 2 in the one series and they swept the Lakers. And then because of the way the NBA schedule works, it was like their first loss in a month. It's just crazy.
Dude, like, how much time did they have off more than a full calendar week off from playing basketball? It was, right?
It would have been close because that went 7, yeah. So they definitely had. Yeah.
So, dude, like, what's interesting is I said last week, turned out to be wrong. I was like, Denver's going to win the first 2 games. I thought they were going to sweep at home. They didn't. I genuinely thought it was going to take Miami to have to be home to get wins. I think that is the bigger talking point than Denver winning on the road, because we already knew that Denver could win both at home and on the road. What we didn't know is, could Denver lose at home? And they lost game 2. So what do you think speaks more volumes kind of about that loss? Like, do you think it was just destined to happen, or do you think that's because of who Miami is?
I think they came up with a recipe, right? In that game, it was let Jokic score and stop the rest of the guys, right?
Right.
When we were talking during the first game, you had four of your starting 5 in double figures, right? And in that game, it was nothing. Jokic had 40 plus points, and everybody else struggled from the field.
Struggling.
They were like, we'll let him do his thing. We'll keep his assist numbers down. We'll keep everybody else from getting in a groove, because that's what they try to do. And they were able to capitalize greatly on that. Now tonight in this game, Jokic got his, but Murray goes out and gets you 34. You got Gordon with 11, Caldwell Pope with 6. So I mean, it was a little more spread around than in that game 2, where they were able to figure out, okay, we're gonna let Jokic do his thing and just stop everybody else. And then for the Miami side of it, where you've seen either Jimmy goes off in a game, right? But that kind of got negated, right? In game 1, where then you've seen guys on their, in game 2, it was, Robinson going off. You have Gabe Vincent, you've had Strus, you've had Martin all go off in these games that have helped them get over that hump in these big series against Boston and in Denver. Now tonight, nobody really scored other than Bam and Jimmy Butler. It was 28 and 22, and nobody else really scored. Nobody scored more than 10. Martin had 10. So those were the recipes, able to stop you or let Jokic do his thing and stop everybody else, and then have one other guy other than Jimmy Butler go off for points. That was the recipe for success.
Can Love do that this series, dude? I mean, he only had 6 tonight.
No, he's not going to be straight. I mean, maybe he can get you a couple threes, and that's what he did. He won 2 for 5 from 3, but he needs to go 5 for 7 from 3 to really get you going.
Dude, he's got to start dyeing his hair. Like, I mean, it is not a good look, dude. I mean, listen, I saw one guy on Miami today. He had patches. I'm not even going to go for that, man. Everybody else is. But Kevin, dude, it's like you look like you're 47 right now. And what's he, like 31, 32? I mean, the dog looks like that he looks like he's like cramming for retirement. You know what I mean?
34. He's 34, so
I mean, I'm giving him 13 years with that salt and pepper. 13. That's a lot of years. Dude, when you're 35.
He doesn't have the legs. He doesn't have the legs anymore.
Not at all. Not at all.
He's got to facilitate a little bit better. Where Kevin Love was in his peak, he was able to hit those big outlet passes up the court. He was able to go pump fake a 3, do a quick dribble in and like dump it, and somebody cuts and gets a layup off of it. Like those were his big, where he was really Kevin Love, where he just doesn't really have it right now. So I don't really expect it. It would be cool, just like we were saying, like you've had Vincent, Strauss, Martin all go off in games, and Duncan Robinson go off in games to get the Heat a win. Maybe a K-Love game coming next. Is that what we're thinking?
Dude, what I'm thinking more than that is it is really bad to see Miami's bench and how many zeros there are, dude.
Yeah.
Like that's like when we talk about 7-game series, no matter who you are, your bench can't have those types of numbers because your bench is going to have to play.
Lowry doing all the way down at the bottom here, 30 minutes, 9 points, -4, 5 assists, 3 boards. He's really disappeared too.
Dude, he has ever since that first year in Miami, ever since the COVID year, dude, he is not there anymore. He's just like, he's not the same player at all.
Yeah. It's a shame. Villanova alum.
You always got to bring it back to home. Shut the fuck up. What? Let's go back to Denver for a second.
I would take Kyle Lowry over Chris Paul in free agency.
Oh, I would too. I would too. He's a lot younger. He's probably 5 or 6 years younger than Chris.
Kyle Lowry's 37 years old.
No, he's not.
I just birth date 3/25. Just missed his birthday.
Kyle Lowry is 37.
Yeah, 1986.
How old is Chris? 45.
Well, Chris Paul came into the league early, didn't he?
86. Chris Paul's got to be at least
38. Yeah, I mean, he's a year older.
So I'm taking Chris then.
Chris is a year older than Kyle.
Knowing that that's the only age difference, you're still taking Kyle? You're still sticking with that?
Yes.
Why?
Good point.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, dude. No, you're taking Chris. My question is, dude, going back to Denver here, I think
I can talk myself into it, though.
No, you can't. For Denver to really pull away here, though, dude, Murray has got to outshine Jokic. Like, Murray has got to become a force that can't be reckoned with. It's got to be like, oh my God, we have to stop Jokic. And then, holy shit, where did that kid just come from?
Well, yeah, tonight he went for a triple-double himself. 2 guys had triple-doubles
for
one team.
Yep.
Like, so, yeah, I mean, that's what he had to do.
He's got to do that, right?
Yeah, to separate like that because, yeah, what Miami was able to do in game 2 and kind of hold him and Gordon and Porter and let Jokic cook. Yeah, they need those other guys to step up 100%.
Porterhouse. Yeah, but dude, you know what sucks is that this is the NBA final, and I got to be honest, I'm now done talking about it. I'm done. Like, I have nothing more. There's no storylines. Like, I guess the only thing that I have left to say is like, dude, like, Jimmy just can't lose faith, dude. He just can't lose faith. And I don't ever think that he will. But, dude, he played 40 minutes tonight. He played the whole game.
Yeah, Bam played 41.
That's not good, though, dude. I mean,
in a loss, the thing that it's going to come down to is Jimmy needs one other guy, just like Jokic. And what we've been saying, they need that one other guy to go off because those guys are going to get theirs. Jimmy might be able to go off for a 40 piece. But if Denver has 4 guys going in double figures, that's not going to mean jack.
But you know what's the second part of that is, you know what Denver has that Jimmy doesn't, specifically with Murray? Jimmy doesn't have a guy that can go get that 40 that can create his own shots, whereas Denver does. Denver doesn't have to be facilitated for all of their guys to get 40. Murray can go and create his own shots. He doesn't need fucking Jokic to be giving him, Tom Brady passes left and right to score. He can go off and score. But everyone needs Jimmy to touch the ball for them to score.
No, I agree with that. I mean, every single one of these players needs Jimmy Butler to create an open 3 for them.
Correct.
Or an open jumper. No,
correct.
100%. And that's why he wasn't getting the big numbers in the first couple games that he normally does, is because those other guys were able to knock down those jump shots for him.
Right.
And he didn't have to put up the points.
Right.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you. I don't really have much else other to say in this game. But, I mean, what? You just want to see the prima donnas? Is that all you want? You don't want to see good basketball, man? Like,
no.
Fucking
fuck that guy. Yeah, fuck that guy. Like, dude, if you're sitting on YouTube and you're like, you don't want to see it, like, dude, if you're taking that time to do that, I gotta tell you something, dude. You're either your mommy and daddy are paying your own way, or you're just stupid as fuck. Like, you gotta have more. You gotta be doing something better with your day.
Thank you for the view. Thank you for
the view. Thank you for the comment. Come back so we can keep doing
subscribe.
This. Yes,
for more. Yes.
Share it. Hate us.
Yes,
please.
We're okay with this.
Please come back and hate us. We love it. We want it. We love you. No, we don't. All right, let's move off, dude. We've done enough NBA. And let's talk about what everybody's been talking about, man. We thought about leading it with the show. You made a good point. Everybody's been talking about it. Let's be our own people. Let's do our own thing. So I've never seen a commissioner of any sports league do a complete 180 the way that the commissioner of the PGA Tour just did a complete 180. Their main topic that they said about why LIV would not be part of the PGA Tour, why LIV events would not be a part of the PGA Tour less than a year ago. We do not believe in that the money backing those events is of the standard of what we want the game of golf to be. And less than a year later, that becomes a crock of horse shit.
Yeah. Big time.
So what my question is like, why didn't you do this in the first place? Because I was having this conversation today with a friend. Besides Brooks, and yes, I get Phil went off in the Masters, but I don't know anybody that can make a clear argument to me that the talent level in LIV is something that the PGA Tour is missing. Dude, these young guys on tour are crazy. Like when was the last time Scotty Scheffler run an event and he's still number one overall in the world? Like, that's unheard of. The number one golfer in the world right now isn't winning events because there
Dustin
is so
Johnson
much diversity.
was number one before he left to go to LIV.
He was number one, but look how much he's fallen off. He's just a name brand at this point, dude. He's not a guy like Brooks who almost wins the Masters, or like Rahm who did win the Masters, and a guy like Brooks who goes on and wins the US Open. He's not a guy like McIlroy right now who still is getting old but is always in the conversation, right? And a guy like Phil who's older than Dick but apparently can almost win the Masters, comes in third. So my whole question is, why did the PGA Tour decide to go this route? Because you said that money was not of the quality of golf, and you all know who creates those events and where that money comes from. So what changed?
What changed was the PGA, they raised the purses in response to all of the players leaving. So now you see all these guys making more and more money in the PGAs, right, which it should have been happening anyway. And I got to follow up to this in a second, a little bit of a rebuttal, but they started running out of money. They were dipping into their future earnings.
Yep.
They didn't have that money to sustain, keep giving the players for their winnings in these tournaments right now in the future. So then they were just like, well, we're not going to be able to keep up with the spending. We might as well just bring their money in and keep everybody happy that way.
Absolutely. Right.
And that's what they caved to. But in my question, right, to that is, you have Rolex, you have Mercedes, you have all these insurance
companies.
You have
Automop Attack.
Like, you have all the most expensive hoity-toity companies in the world are the freaking sponsors of this. Yes. And you can't just go to them and be like, write a bigger check. Like, write a bigger check. All right, hey, we've had great business with you for decades. All right, the level from here is now up to here. If we want to keep our product the way it is, go to these companies and hey, if you want to keep sponsoring us, it's got to come up to here now. Because we need the money. We need to be able to keep paying the players, or else we're going to have to go to them. Now, maybe they did it, but I don't think this idiot did that.
No, I don't either.
The way that this whole thing came together in the last 2 months, I don't think he did that.
Me neither. Because you know who I'm waiting? You know who I'm waiting, Trilly, to hear speak more than anybody? And I haven't gotten to hear McIlroy's comments yet, but you know who I'm waiting to hear speak more than anybody? Is Phil. Because Phil is the person.
He's been dancing all over.
But he's the person that started all of this.
Yeah.
Because he actually, to your point, he didn't say, no, it's not that the sponsors aren't paying us enough. It's the way how money rules the world and anything. It's that the people at the top are keeping more than you will ever know about. And that's what it is. It's not that they don't have enough money from Rolex, from Mercedes, from Automop Attack, from Polo, from FootJoy, from whoever else, from Wells Fargo, from BMW, right? You have banks that sponsor you. You have banks.
Yeah.
American brands, some of the oldest in the world, some of the oldest in our nation are sponsoring your events. The NFL doesn't have that. There's not the Wells Fargo Week 17 event. There's the Wells Fargo Championship, right? They're paying hundreds of millions of dollars. So where is all that money going to is what Phil pointed out. Phil also had some dicey comments as well during that time and then went on to live. We don't need to get into that. The point just being is that what I think it comes down to is, you're right, they saw that they were leveraging their future. And instead of taking money out of their own pockets, they were like, well, you know what? If somebody else is writing the check, who gives a crap what their apparent morals are? Because we used to care, but now we don't if it's affecting our money. And so they go and they join with them. What I think is going to be interesting is the guy who hasn't spoken yet, who's going to be very interesting to hear speak, is the undisputed GOAT.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when is Tiger going to open his mouth? Because Tiger is completely against Liv. And Tiger is the biggest proponent, honestly, outside of McIlroy.
The guy could have got $800 million to do
and
nothing.
Decided not to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, what does that money mean to him at this point in his career? But like, still, I mean,
it still is $800 million.
Yeah.
That would be the biggest sports contract of all time.
Yeah.
In anything. And he said no. So if you're saying no to $800 million, that means that morally you truly stand somewhere. Now, Dave Portnoy would argue, does Tiger Woods really have morals? I'm going to say 100% he does, because if Tiger Woods wants Cold Wings Conversations to be the sponsor of everything Tiger Woods, we're down. We're good.
If Charlie Woods is listening to this podcast, we love you, Charlie. You're the next big thing.
We love you.
We'll get you that. We'll get you that $1 billion deal.
Big time. We're going for $100 million.
Yeah.
We're going to help you. You give us, listen, you get $1 billion, Charlie. You just give Trilly and I every year. All we're asking for at a minute, just $25 million a year. That's all we need. You keep the rest. You keep the rest.
Each.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What are we splitting hairs here? He's giving us 25 each. Come on. So the point being, ladies and gents, is that's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for the guys who have changed the sport to speak about what they think. And the biggest one's going to be Tiger, because at the end of the day, there's no one who's currently playing that has a better record than that man. Nobody. So when his comments come out, in my opinion, they matter as much, if not more, than everyone else's. Do I think that he's now going to retire? No, I don't, because he genuinely still wants to play. He wants to win more events. There's no question about it. He wants to win more majors at the end of the day. Can he? His body do it? I don't know. He's half robot these days. He's, it's like, he's AI. He's ChatGPT. Come on. But yeah, man, no, I think it's crazy. And it's the craziest part that I'll leave it off at, Trilly, in 3 weeks' time, because this is the way that money news always goes. No one's going to be talking about it.
Yeah.
Even though it is the biggest story, no one's going to talk about it, because this is going to change golf.
Yeah, well, it's going to change a lot of things. It's going to change repercussions in all American sports, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because when it comes down to it, all these teams, the Commanders just got sold for $6 billion, right?
Yep.
What if another NFL team like the Patriots or the Cowboys or the Eagles or the Ravens or, established franchises go up for sale that are set up for success? What is that going to be? 10? 11, 12 billion dollars.
Oh my God. I know. Dude.
There's only so many billionaires like that in the United States. Some people are going to have to go over to these hedge funds over in Saudi Arabia and to these others
wherever,
where they burn that crap and they wipe their asses with it every morning, where they're trying to get in. And now all of a sudden they're in the PGA. They can go, hey, look at all this stuff we've done for the PGA. Here's this. Here's our case for that. And then they can go to the NFL and show them that, and then make their way into investment groups that way and just keep on going. And all of a sudden Saudi Arabia is running everything. Now that's just a little bit, a bit much. And I don't think that'll happen, but it's a slippery slope for sure. And you have to take that into consideration. I would 100%. Think. If you aren't, I think it's silly not to talk about it. But yeah, man, it's interesting.
It's crazy.
I want to know what actually changes in golf at this point, because honestly, like, I've gotten into golf a lot more lately.
Yeah.
But what can you really change more to the game of golf other than just like the stupid, not nostalgia rules, but like pants and hats and and maybe, shotgun starts to a tournament. But what other fundamental changes can you really make to the game other than just the money involved?
But that's the thing, is that no one wants to fundamentally change anything about the game. The question that I think, though, is going to be changed because people like, for example, people aren't looking to introduce a pitch clock to somebody except Brooks Koepka. That's not true. Brooks Koepka is looking to stroke guys.
Right. Yeah, he wants to stroke them.
He wants to stroke guys. There's no. What does that mean? The point being is, but there's no, but that's not. Golf is a leisurely game. Right? Golf is a leisurely game. That's what it always is. That's what it always will be. And that's okay. The point of golf, the history of golf, people don't go to a baseball game. People don't go to a golf course and say, fuck, I've been watching this for 4 hours. The way they say that about a baseball game. People will say that about golf, and half the crew will be like, damn, I can't believe I played for 4 hours. I'm tired. The other half will be like, can I get 2 more hours? Like, people love the longevity of the game of golf and how long it takes to get through it. But what I think is going to be interesting is,
not one of those people. Yeah.
You might not be, but that's the history of it, and that's the way that people really do love it. My thing that I will say is, how are the younger guys on tour right now? Like, does making live events now open up the seats for more players to be able to make the cut? Because now if you're bringing in those live guys that you know are going to make the cut, you're going to probably discount up to 7 to 15 guys, depending on who they are, any given weekend, who were making the cut before. They're not going to now. Because you said that, you know what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Like, you're taking that opportunity away. So are you going to extend the cut, right? Are you going to make the cut larger? There's going to be now what? I think that there's going to be now 12 more events. 12 more events are incorporated. Are there more opportunities that the events are going to be larger? There's going to be a longer amount. It's still always going to be a 4-day weekend, but are you going to allow for more and more people, right? Because you know that Dustin Johnson's going to make the cut. Phil's going to make the cut. Brooks Koepka's going to make the cut. The Australian dude's going to make the cut, right? Those are 4 guys off the bat that are going to take 4 spots from younger guys on PGA Tour that were making it over the past 6 months that now aren't going to anymore. So I think the thing that's going to be interesting is that when that happens, when the younger players speak out, and old heads like McIlroy being like, fuck this.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with the cut, before we get into that, what the players can do next is, with all the new events, not every guy is going to be playing in all of them. With the money going up, they don't have to play in every event to make up that money, because you finish top 20 or whatever. That's good for 4 events of you just trying to scrap the cut. So they might
made the mortgage payment. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Like, Brooks Koepka goes and wins the PGA. He's pretty much like, yeah, I really don't want to play in this live event next Saturday. He's like, I'm good. I'm good for the month here, fellas. Like, so I can see that kind of happening where it's like a give and a take at that point. But yeah, now the big thing.
I got to ask you this while you're on that, because I want you to answer this, is that Trilly, now with adding these events, though, are the players going to unionize and say, you got to give us all guaranteed money? Because there are certain guys here that have guaranteed money.
Yes. That's where I was. Yeah, it's a good question, because and kind of do contract wise, but do they want to hold themselves to that though? Like, say they set a cap for that. Like a contract for an MLB or a football player.
Sure.
You can make X amount, but can you win over that? Say, like, you're the one guy for the PGA that everybody loved, Block or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he wants to take that guaranteed contract, right? But say he goes and he finishes top 5 at the Masters and he's making a couple $1 million. Say somebody wins it, that's a fringe guy. Are you allowed to get rest of the money, rest of the year after that? Or are you capped out at that point? Yep. So it's which way they go about unionizing it and getting those contracts. Now, it'll help a lot of guys, but then also, what do you do if you actually go above and beyond your performance that you thought was going to happen?
Dude, that almost just happened. What you just said, an amateur ended in the top 5 and was on Brooks Koepka and Jon Rahm's heels. Like an upcoming amateur almost won the Masters, almost won the green jacket. So anything can happen. What I will say is that if guaranteed money comes into golf, it will completely change the sport. Because the only thing about golf is this. Michael Jordan said it best. There's no sport that he played that's harder, because every time you're looking in the mirror when you take a swing and you're only competing against yourself. That is what golf is. Golf is you're competing for every dollar in that moment, and nothing is guaranteed to you besides your sponsorships. But when you're on those courses, nothing is guaranteed to you besides your own abilities.
Mm-hmm.
If you bring guaranteed money in, that's all like that's a hard stop. It's over. As long as I am playing the PGA Tour, whether I make the cut or not, if I make 500K, that's all over, because you can play, and if you don't make that cut, you walk away with zero. So if you bring guaranteed money now in, that's like saying that you're going to, in all honesty, I would argue that that's as drastic as saying that the NFL next year will only allow two-hand touch as a tackle.
You make that $1 million making the cut a couple times, and all of a sudden those 12 extra events, you're just kind of like, like I'm just here just to play.
Dude, are you making $1 million not even making the cut? That's the question.
Yeah.
Like, imagine that. Imagine you don't make the cut and you still got $1 million check. Dude, if you didn't make the cut and still got $500,000, you made as much as last place who makes the cut.
Playing golf more.
We do, dude. Let's get it. Guaranteed money. Let's go. I'm changing the story. We're in for it. Well, let us know what you think.
Yes, exactly. It's going to be an interesting thing moving forward with that. And honestly, with that opportunity, I want to introduce the newest Cold One Conversations Open that we're going to be having the end of this month. Feel free to reach us out in the DMs. We're going to be holding a contest. The first 10 people to DM us on Instagram, you're in. All right. And we're going to do a random drawing from those people. And we're going to cut it down from the first 10 down to the first random drawing down to 4. All right. So make sure you're the first ones. You have to be subscribed. You have to be following us, and you got to get in there fast.
So you got to like
now.
You got to like
for the videos. You got to show us proof. And we're on what were we talking before the Mets game? Mets Phillies at the end of this month. In June 24th, we're going to go out golfing. We're going to have a Cold One Conversations Open. So make sure you hit us up, subscribe, send us a DM that you want in. We'll pick the first 10, and then we'll do a random drawing from there. And then it'll be 4 people on us, and we're going to go golfing. All right. So make sure you reach out and subscribe.
That's going to be expensive. So we're going to go to a par 3 course for that. I just want to clarify.
They don't have to know this. All right.
If you went,
I got something lined up. It's $7. Par 3's 9 holes.
Hey, no, they don't need to know the accounting. They just need to know it's expensive.
Yes, exactly.
Ladies and gents, that's it for this episode of Cold One's Convos. Trilly, you got anything to take us out with, brother?
The Fightins are back, baby. They're back. They're red hot. They beat the bad teams, which they weren't doing earlier in the year. They got the Dodgers coming up. I'll be there Friday night as long as the game doesn't get canceled. That would kind of suck. I don't know. But hopefully all this stuff kind of blows through by then. And then we got a nice little stretch. You got the A's, you got the Diamondbacks, who are a decent team, but should be able to take care of them. And then take care of the Mets and the Braves again on the back end of this month. It's going to be a lot of fun. The O's are good. We didn't even talk about them. Do we want to touch on that? Are the O's contenders, Harry, or do we want to wait for another episode for that? I think we should wait a little bit
next week.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. We'll do a good baseball talk a couple of months before after the 4th of July, when it gets close to the All-Star break, when we can start talking about some moves that can maybe potentially make the O's tops in the AL. And if the Phillies are in that position that they're going to make a push for another pitcher or a bat or something like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of good talk, I think, NBA wise. Golf, who knows, man. But hey, make sure you subscribe, DM us. We're doing a Cold One Conversations Invitational.
God bless.